as soon as possible. You're going to put braces, honestly, about every 8 feet. And once you get it down, it's fine. Again, before you put that second top plate on, what are you going to do? You're going to go up top and good up, string, blocks, right? Remember before we put the second top plate on, you're going to check everything, right? So you're going to go along. If you're off plumb a bit, you're going to see it right away. The bottom down below, you're going to snap that line, right? So you're going to have, go back to here. This is when the sledgehammer comes out. See that little nice line we snapped, remember? With the bottom plate, so it's either going to be 5.5 or 3.5. So when we lift that up, all of a sudden, as we lift that wall up, what do we have on the inside?
That line.
We have our chalk line, right? So if you're off, if you're sticking outside 1/4 inch, what do?
Oh, you put it back.
You go outside with a sledgehammer and you bang the crap out of it till it comes back in. If you're over on the inside, what are you going to do? You toss it over. You seriously adjust all this with a sledgehammer. If you're off plumb up top, right, and you got to go outside a little bit, what are you going to do? You're going to go over to the block on the floor, onto the brace, and you're going to smack it with the mass till it goes out nice and level. So all this adjustment's all pretty much done with a sledgehammer. Hey, if you can do it with your little hammer, I'll be impressed. But it's a whole lot easier to go outside. You're going to have Yan inside going, hey, ain't no shot, and tap, right on the point so you're nice and in line with that chalk line. Up top, you're going to run your strings. You have braces there already, so what are you going to do? In or out, right with the brace till it's really nice. Yan's on the ladder again. Yan's the eyeball, man. Yan's on the ladder again, checking to see if he has that nice 3/4 all the way along. And again, what are you going to do? Before anything, you're going to go into the corner, what are you going to do? You're going to put your eye on it. You guys learned about that in Ruse. It's amazing what we can do with our eyes. That fascia, you guys had your strings running, even before you put your string on it, you go, oh yeah. You know? I do all the time watching what you guys do. When you guys are building your dormers, remember I think, yeah, that's good. I'm not measuring anything, I'm not checking it, I'm just putting my eye on it. When we did all our rafters, when we did the hand-cut chevrons there, all the common rafters, you see them all line up, and you put your eye on it, oh man. There was what, I don't know who it was, maybe yours? You had one truss that was out, remember? I think it was along your common run there before you get to the hip. One team had one truss out. You put your eye on it, you can see it right away. And everything lines up, and then you have one that whoop, sticks right out. So I think we took a sledge and bashed it in. It's rough framing. You're going to have a sledgehammer around. Getting those plates all lined up, everything to sit nice. Tap, 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 tap.
Screws or nails? Better.
Nails.
Yes. Why?
Boom, boom. I let you use screws too much in Ruse.
No,
I got in trouble for it.
Let's say you're building your own house or whatever. Just in general, which one is better?
Screws are going to cost you a ton, time-wise and material-wise. Nails are much cheaper and way, way quicker.
But it's stronger nails, no?
Screws stronger. Screws. You know, I love screws for tacking.
Yeah.
You know, like when we first went down and we put those two rafters together, right? You have no idea if it's going to work or not, right? So like I keep telling you guys, like when you built your dormer, you know, tack it. It's nice, it's level, everything works. You're not even sure if it's all going to work, right? Everything's nice, it all works. Okay, then you nail it. You know, that's why when you put those two first rafters together, it's like put a screw in it. Guaranteed you're going to be taking it down again. You had to take it down again anyways. Remember, we didn't do any shortening. We didn't even shorten for the ridge, right? We just put it together just to see if it works. Put a little screw in, everything's fine. If you know you're taking it out again, screws are great. You know, if you want to permatize something, a screw takes too long compared to boom with a gun, right? So those little blocks that we're putting up on the side of the building, I would probably tack those in with a screw because I know I'm taking it out in 10 minutes. I'm going to line up my wall, everything's nice. Yan put his eye on it, to debo. I'll take those little blocks out. So if you know you're taking it out, a screw's great.
Let's say you have all the time in the world and you just want to go for a strike.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Screws, eh?
Oh yeah, screw the hell out of it, but your neighbor's gonna be like, oh my god, it's taking a long time. What's he doing over there? And listening to that impact guy go, don't get me wrong, I love screws.
Like
and they're way better, like Gyprock, you use screws. Nails will loosen over time, that's been proved, you know. Screws are awesome. Flooring, subfloor, screwed for sure. Glued and screwed. You don't nail down a subfloor.
Shed. You're building a little shed, you screw it. Might as
Oh,
well.
I'd probably go nuts with the screws, but on the job, your boss
Oh,
is
yeah,
going to
for
say,
sure.
no, because it takes a long time, and screws are expensive compared to nails. So yeah, ideally screws are awesome. They're way better, but nails are cheaper and faster and way more. Also, you guys use common nails, eh? You're not using spiral nails. There's a big difference in taking a spiral nail out and a common nail. Like they use common nails in Cavarage because they take all their formwork apart. You guys use common nails here because you take most of your stuff apart. Go on the job and start pulling a spiral nail out. It's, huh?
I've never seen one of those spiral nails.
No, well, it's your standard RDoC spiral nail. You can put a galvanized nail in. Woo, those don't come out nice. It spins in like a screw. So as you're hammering it, it's got kind of like threads on the side.
There's a look like.
I'll show you.
So you can be sure where you nail them.
Well, that's like in any case with a nail. You guys know what it is to take a nail and it's got its head buried, you know?
Okay.
What?
I didn't know those existed.
Spiral nails.
Do you remember when I think it was with you guys that I did orientation? I had to find a cat's paw,
Yeah, I got you.
and I put it in a whole bunch of kittens. I was like, that's pretty.
Nice.
Oh, still.
Then press enter.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, it's
There.
There we go.
So as you pound that in, that's spinning into the wood. So to get that out, it's not just pulling it out. You gotta pull it out like that, pretty much. So it's like a little bit of screw technology in there. They hold a whole lot better. You'll see. But it's oh no, not too bad. They're so common that it's probably pretty much the same price. But anything with a gun, it's usually not spiral. It's like a pass load. A nail strip is usually not spiral.
Was the other gun nail gun? Is it possible to have those ones? But,
I'm sure.
all
Yeah.
nail guns?
Yeah. There's endless types of nails, eh? But that's your standard spiral nail. Guys, but telephone. Okay. Where were we?
the assembly methods.
Assembly methods. Okay, what did I say? Before you put your plywood on, okay? You're gonna build your wall on the floor. What do you check before you put your plywood on? Super important. I'll give you a big hint. With anything we build, what do we check? Square. Okay, so when you're building this house, even your floor, you're gonna check your floor. Like I keep telling you, your first day on the job, you should know exactly what your lane corners on your foundation. That's gonna make for a lane corner up top on your floor. You try and cheat that. You're gonna maybe bring the rim joist in a bit on the foundation or out. You want to try and get square as much as you can. So you had some drunk foundation guys that screwed it up Friday afternoon, and you've got a little corner it's not square. So you can try the best you can. Whatever you got to do. Like I say, everything's great up here, but sometimes you want to get that square. When you build your wall up top, the next phase, it's going to be that same goddamn corner. You're going to have to try and cheat it again. You put your trusses on, you're going to do the same thing. Your soffit's going to be off because that wall's off square. So there's always that ugly corner in a building that you're following all the way up. So again, before you put your plywood on, before you put your sheathing on, you check for square. It's very easy because the way you're building your wall, right, you're going to be tacked down here, right? You're tacked on this side. You know what I mean? You're tacked on the inside. So when you peel that up, it's keeping that plate in place. If you weren't tacked, there'd be a good chance when you lift that wall up, it's going to kick out. So that's why you tack that whole plate down. As you pull it up, it's kind of pulling those nails out, but it still holds that plate in place. But before you do all that, you check your diagonals. Same with your floor, same with your roof, same with anything we do, square and level. So you make your wall nice and square. Even when you put the plywood on, you'll see it. It's going to be, you can almost square it up with your plywood. If you do have to move it, guys, Michael, are you listening? Chatting. If you have to square it up, like I said, this side's square. So you're gonna take the top part of the wall and move it around until you get the same diagonal. You're gonna mess. You guys have done this before. You square it up. You pretty much, you have your wall set up. You're gonna go a little this way, or you're gonna go a little bit that way. Check your square again. Make sure it's all nice and square. And when it's all nice and square, drop your plywood down and you're off. Once you put your plywood on, it's too late. You gotta square it up.
When you raise the wall,
Yeah.
I think I saw something like looking at it like that, it would nail towards you, and and then raise the
You
wall?
you put your first plate. Here, I'll draw you another picture. You're gonna come in, rim joist, joist. You're gonna snap your line at 3.5, right? You know why?
Yes.
Yeah. Your first plate, your bottom plate, you're gonna sit down like that. You're gonna toenail it in like that. Okay? Then your second one you're gonna put like that, and then you're gonna trace them together. So you're gonna take your square, and you trace all your studs, all your openings, all your cripplers, all your centers, all that, you trace it all together. And then when you're done, you take this one, and you put it up top. That's your top plate, just like this guy's doing. So he's past that phase, he traced it all together, they're stuck together, they're tacked together. Then you move it up, and then all those measurements line up perfectly, and then, you bring it up. And then as you bring it, it's gonna pull those nails out, but kind of keep it all together at the same time. Cool? Another quick little note, if you're doing any kind of blocking on a wall, because you'd be doing blocking on interior walls, is you always take your measurements from your tracing. Don't measure in the middle of the wall. Because if your studs have any kind of round to them or woof to them, you're not solving that. You guys probably, did you block it?
Yeah, we did. Look at this is on my exam.
Yeah.
I did exactly those measurements. I measured from the end where the rim joint.
Yeah, like you should be cutting your blocking at 14.5.
Yeah.
If you're measuring 14.25 in the middle, you got to make 14.5 work because theoretically you follow all your tracing.
Yeah, you
So.
told me no. It doesn't make sense the way you told me. Because I was in my exam and the way you explained it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense the way you're explaining it.
Yeah.
Because it'll always keep everything squared up.
Yeah.
You won't have any bowing around.
Yeah.
It'll
If
always-
I'm doing a little floor down there, I'll usually get my guys to leave the two end ones out. And then follow all your tracing all along the middle. Because what happens sometimes, I don't know why, is if you start on one end, they all start having a little round. And you just keep putting 14.5, 14.5, 14.5 in. I don't know what happens, but it's always that first one that screws it up. Whereas I tell my guys, leave the first two spaces empty, 14.5 or whatever you need all along there. And then that other one, you can see it by eye. I guarantee you, if you put that first block in at 13 inches or whatever the space is, like you were saying, it doesn't always line up. It always gets a little bit of a round. You're following your tracing, but you're just continuing the same mistake. Whereas if you leave the two out and then add them in last, it usually lines up perfectly. I don't know why, but that's usually it. And that's measuring, like you have your studs or your joists, right? You're gonna measure here, you're gonna measure there. It's gonna be 14.5 on 16-inch centers. And then you're gonna have one at the end that's gonna be a little weird. You're gonna have like a 13 or something like that because it's just the way the framing is. You pull your 16s from here, so you're gonna have a little oddball at the end, right? Same with your first one, because you're not 16-inch on center, you move that over 3/4. So you're at that 15.25. So that last one and the first one I usually leave, and then fill in all these, and then at the end go down and measure those ends on your tracing and put those in. You know what I mean? If you put this in a little long, that means they're all going to do that as you add that 14.5. You're not correcting the mistake, you're just doing the same mistake over and over again. Cool? Alright, so that's assembly, and that's it. You raise up your walls, you brace them, you keep going. You keep doing that. One top plate, that's it. So you've done the whole perimeter of the building. You're braced, everything's honky-dory. You break out the strings and the blocks of wood, straighten all your walls, everything's nice. Plumb your walls, do all that. Put your second top plate, you're done. Then what do you do? Sheathing's done. You raised all your walls. You might have to put a wind brace or two. Go and break.
Hey, put on the second top plate down.
Yeah, you run your string, block of wood, run your string all over the walls, make sure your corners are plumb, make sure your plates are in line with each other, don't worry about the studs, right? We're gonna break out the dot laser, make sure all that's nice. Now, when you get a troublesome wall, here's another setup he's got. Can you see these all right? So he's got a little extension for his level. That's pretty cool, actually. I have a 6-foot level, and you wouldn't believe how common or how handy it is. It's really, really handy. After the corner posts have been plumbed and the top plates doubled, straightened and braced, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here. So sometimes you can have a troublesome wall. So this is kind of dodgy, but see if you want to get that corner out, right? And you're tacked in well below, you've nailed all your bottom, right? You follow that chalk line. Once you follow that chalk line, you can nail it down. You still might have a corner that has to get out there. So you're going to do this kind of cowboy move with this bent piece of wood. So this is like a 2x6 or a 2x4, cranking that outside like that. So you're bending that piece of wood, and it's pushing that wall out right till the end says, okay, it's level, nail it in like that. But it's not always a smooth operation. Like I say, everything's honky-dory up here. Down there and in the field on the job, sometimes it's just those troublesome corners. There's always one wall that's going to be a pain in the ass. It's just the nature of the trade. So you have to bend that piece in. You got to do whatever you got to do. I've pulled out come-alongs. You know what a come-along is? Like a ratcheting, like that. I had two interior wall or exterior walls that had to come in. And I just, for the life of me, we didn't have anything to pry against outside. There was nothing to work with. So we attached the two walls together and chick, 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 chick with a come-along till you get it into it's nice and lined and nice and level. And then you tack it. You can either tack another brace or do whatever you have to do to get those walls level. On the reverse way, if you have to bring a wall inside, you're going to do the opposite with this piece of wood. It's a little scary to do, but you'll see. You get in there and bend a piece of wood, but it'll work. You can do it all from the inside of the building. Where when I was young, I would be a dumbass and I'd be outside trying to push that outside of the wall in, standing in the mud trying to do something that's impossible. This way you can put this piece of wood and you're just going to bow it till it pulls that piece right in. Anyways, there's many different methods. This is when the sledgehammer or whatever methods you can use. This is when ingenuity comes up. I don't know, drive your truck up against it or something. You got to get your wall straight. That's the thing. You can't sell a house with a wall that's not level and a wall that's not straight. Cool? So here's some plywood you're sheathing. 99% of the time, you're going to put your sheathing on vertical. Because normally in the way we build is we have 9-foot sheets of plywood. So you're going to go 4 inches with the 9 feet. What's the 9 feet? What's the extra foot for? It's to fold that plate over, right? So that's why we buy long sheets of plywood. Not like this, not with a joint all along there. The way we do in Quebec is you're going to have a long enough piece that goes over, that drapes past that rim joist. It goes over that and it covers everything. So your exterior finishing, your water will drain all the way down to the foundation. No way of it sneaking in there. Cool? Same with sill gaskets. When we build our walls, on the bottom of the wall, you're always going to use a sill gasket. You guys messed around with that a bit. You can see the blue. When you did flooring, no? Sill gasket, little caoutchouc there, little foam thing you put under your wall. We do the same thing with walls. When you raise your wall, that's to seal that even more, so you don't have any drafts, no air coming in there at all. Again, when you're doing your vapor barrier and all that, you'll probably acoustic caulk all your vapor barrier right to that corner on the floor, but you use that stuff here too. Same application. You're going to do that. You raise your wall. Same if you go up top, above. This is all crazy. Like hurricane stuff. You can see all the extra bracing you have to put in, which we'll get into soon here, I'm sure. As our summer storms get nastier and nastier, like if you build in Florida, almost every stud has a separate little metal clip because their houses take off and fly away because they have these crazy tropical storms. We don't really do that here yet. But when you see some of our summer storms, they might start implementing it in the code for sure. Well, it takes like one house to fly away, and you're like, okay, I think we can hear about this. Methods of plumbing, plumbing walls. You guys got a good idea how that works, right?
So Monday we'll be in the shop, right? Start looking.
If you get all those roofs down this afternoon, I think it's just going to be you anyways, Andrew, so.
Andrew.
I think the janitor leaves at 6:30. He'll probably stay open late for you.
I'll be until 10.
Another thing, modern construction is sheathing panels. I call them stress skin panels, but as you'll see more and more, instead of sheathing, it's like an insulated panel that you put on the wall. So it's like this. Awesome construction. The beauty of this is those panels get urethane, they'll get foamed together, So the other bonus of having like a timber frame house is that insulation all around your house. So when we talk about thermal bridging, there's no thermal bridging because it's a solid piece of insulation all around your house. So you can imagine how nice and warm this is. Look at that roof, man. No thermal bridging, it doesn't even matter because his insulation goes right over all his trusses. So you're going to see this more and more in modern construction. Oh, crazy expensive, but it pays for itself, man.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
building a house without any thermal bridging.
But shout out to the client that they want to pay more.
Well, that's
Because
the
they're
thing.
not going to want to pay. They don't understand that.
Well, some do.
Yeah. Most of them aren't.
Some do that are loaded. I mean, this guy, you know, you build a big chateau up Mont-Tremblant or something like that.
How much more?
Oh, a lot, man. Compared to wool insulation, this is stress skin panels. What do they call them? SIPs.
But you said that you saves a whole lot of time.
I'm sure
Yeah,
they'll-
like look at that. You know?
Yeah, but how much? Like
Oh, a lot. I don't
$40,000?
know. I'm going to give you numbers right now, but a lot, a lot.
A lot, man.
Yeah. You have no idea how much
Right
anything
now,
costs
cheap.
up there. Okay?
Too much.
What's it called again? It's SI.
They call them SIPs. I call them stress skin panels because I kind of did a timber framing in the past. So a timber frame, you're going to raise the whole building, right? It's all timber frame. You guys know what a timber frame is? And then the bonus of a timber frame building is you're doing the same sort of concept. You're wrapping the whole thing in insulated panels. So there's no thermal bridging at all. You're getting R20 all over your building. So it's nice and tight, and it's really, really good for sealing everything in. You don't hardly need a vapor barrier because all those panels are acting as vapor barriers. And that's nailing for your sheathing and everything. The price there, a lot of money. I have no idea, but a lot of money. Cool? So that's another way to do it. As you guys will see, you're young, all these methods are slowly going to change, you know? Like when, well, not maybe when my dad was young, it was 2x4. They would have never thought of building a wall with a 2x6. Now it's the norm. It's very rare you build with 2x4s. You'll do interior walls with 2x4s, but to get that proper R value, you're better off going with a 2x6 because wool insulation is the cheapest insulation. Andrew, Jesse?
No, it's first. That's not what you guess.
All right. Okay, key terms. So we need about corner posts, cripple studs. We didn't really know about gypsum board. Jack studs, we know what that is. Jam, you know what a jam is? No? Door jam? Oh, here's a good one. Okay, one thing that drives me nuts. When you're cutting your top plates, okay? Very, very simple. You gotta think like the plywood. Anywhere you cut a top plate on a 16-inch, if you're doing a 16-inch wall, you cut your top plate on one of these red marks. What does that mean? That means your joint of each of your plate should land right on a stud. Idea is you have a stud and your plate is going to have a joint like that, not a joint flottant like that. Know what I mean? So it's very, very simple. When you're cutting your top plate, you're cutting it like it's a piece of plywood. So it doesn't have to be on a 48, but you're going to cut your top plate on an 80. You're not going to cut it at 7 feet. Where is it going to be at 7 feet? It's going to be floating. So you always want to sit that joint right on an 80. It's super easy to do. Your tape's made for it. You measured out your wall. Your plates are going to follow your plywood. So you know exactly how to do that. You're going to cut it on one of these red marks. Same with your second top plate. It's very easy to cut. You can put them on any one you want. So you're going to go as far as you can, under 16 feet, and you're going to cut it at that, again, on one of these red marks. Cool? That's about that for
Let's start
that.
taking the roofs down.
What?
Let's start taking the roofs down.
No, not yet.
Damn it.
A few more hours. Guys, you think this is hard on you? Look at me. I've been jumping around all morning.
Jump around the money too much.
So now what are we doing? Now we're
Interior walls. What do you do now? Build your interior walls. What kind of interior walls do we have? Why is this doing this? Yeah, we have two kinds of interior walls. What's that?
Bearing walls.
partition.
Load-bearing walls, okay, which are super important. When you do a reno, you need to find your, oh my lord.
It's the other ones, they're the other part.
What?
The smaller one. The well, to my right, your left. No, man, you had it.
Yeah, it won't go though.
No, it's not that one. It's the other one.
What do you mean the other one?
The small one on the side.
That's just my scrolling.
Yeah, well, you want to go down?
No, I want to see my menu.
Oh.
Try going further, try doing
Never mind
something
then.
going further out.
I thought you were gonna fix it for me, Desi.
Well, I didn't know what you were trying to do, so.
It won't go. Like I drag, and then it stops. Come on!
Try going further out towards the middle.
No, it won't work. Yes, I'm inside. Technology, right?
Oh, I tell you. Oh, it's still the same.
God, I love technology.
It never works when it's in here. It's his fault. Okay, interior walls. So, the most important interior walls, pretty much ones you have to do before you start another floor, are your load-bearing walls, because that's what your joists are sitting on, right? So, normally, if we go back to our bungalow, it's going to be right down the middle of the house. It's going to be the same thing as your other walls. You do exterior walls or interior walls. They're quite... Oh, it's still doing it.
That seems like there's a partition wall.
No, a partition wall is a non-load-bearing wall. Oh, I don't know what's up with this thing. Somebody want to do this for me? Anybody, Jesse, are you a computer geek or?
No. I mean, I know computers, but.
Look, Vic,
Try right.
Mine-
fix this for me.
I'm just thinking shit.
You should quit it.
Yeah.
Double click it.
No, and then you can't double click. Because you have to.
Maybe it's my mouse.
What's that? I don't
No,
know.
I write that
at the
as
bottom.
mouse.
See, that's it there.
At the bottom of that scrolling thing, there's like an arrow.
Yeah, you have to give press.
This?
Yeah, what is that?
It just brings me back to the top.
Right
Ah, that arrow there.
Where?
Yeah, on the right, on the right.
No.
This?
Yeah, no?
No.
No, that's
No.
not restricted.
What if I go like this?
No.
Yeah, that goes through each chapter.
Oh, I'll do the next chapter. That's all I want to do.
Right in the left of it, there's an arrow down. Maybe you can pick the chapter.
Oh,
Where you
yeah.
just click.
It's even better. Interior partitions and ceiling joists. Okay, so as we look at our house, you can see the difference here. So what's our load-bearing walls?
The yellow.
Okay, load-bearing partition. Okay, so you can see where the span goes. So if these were floor joists, we'd be sitting all our joists on that. Okay, our load-bearing walls are the green ones here. So they're just divisions. That's all they are. Cloison.
So the ones that are parallel are not bearing walls, the ones that are...
Normally, it changes all the time. Like if we look at that simple bungalow, it's usually very straightforward. But as you get into bigger houses and funkier concepts, you can change the direction of the joist. You're never sure. You need to pretty much take the wall apart, or there's tricks to kind of figure it out. But it's one of the trickiest things when you're doing a renovation. A lady calls you up and says, "I want to take out this wall. How much is it going to cost?" There's a huge difference if you're taking down a load-bearing wall. Jesse, if you're taking a load-bearing wall down compared to taking a non-load-bearing wall down. Non-load-bearing wall, you don't have to worry about anything. It's not doing any work. It's just being a division. So you want to open up 2 rooms into 1 room, no big deal. A load-bearing wall, how do you take a load-bearing wall out?
You would have to do a lean-to,
No,
sort of,
support.
no, a header.
Well, you got to build it tough, but how do you take it out?
You gotta support the.
You gotta support it. Yeah. So you're gonna get in there. So if we look at our bungalow again, right? It's mimicking the basement, right? So the basement, you have a big beam that's holding up all your floor joists, like that. So the next floor up, what are you gonna do? You're pretty much gonna build a wall down the center of the house and have your joist for the next floor sitting on that. Or in this case, it's a simple house, and he's just got, the trusses are not designed to span all that in one, so they need some form of supporting wall in the middle. So your normal bungalow pretty much looks like this. You always have that hallway down the center of it. 1 or 2 of those walls are normally load-bearing walls. So when I walk into a house, if I look at a big rectangle like this, right off the bat, I know they didn't go like this with their floor joists. Okay? Because you're going to go for the shortest span. So when you build your floor, you're going to put a beam in the middle and you're going to go like that. Chances are they didn't go like this. So when I walk into a bungalow and I have a nice wall right down the middle of the house, chances are you've got joists sitting on it like that. If I go into your bedroom and you've got a wall along here like that, chances are it's not a load bearing wall. So if I'm pricing a job